Hey Nintendo fans and collectors, this is Lithium017 from my channel, Nintendo Collecting 101, bringing you collecting tip number 76, displaying and organizing your game collection. In the beginning, maybe you only had a handful of games, maybe you didn't have very many, you could keep them in a box, but once you get into the hundreds, I think I have 500, maybe you have thousands. There are some collectors out there with a lot of games. You're going to want to have an idea in mind of where you're going to put them. So of course, I have two shelves, they're black, they go side by side. I think they're 3 feet by 72 inches or something like that, and I added in my own shelves. So you can see the top 2 shelves are white, and the rest of them are black. So these are just my tips for displaying your games to kind of keep in mind what the function of them is supposed to be. For me, it's for playing them, so I'll get into that in a second. But first and foremost, I should kind of really say, I wanted to clean up this video by getting rid of all the figurines to kind of make this video focus on the games. So you'll notice that I took off all the figurines from my shelf and I put them on my Wii and GameCube shelf, and they look kind of cool. It looks really cluttered, but comment and let me know if you like them there, rather than actually in front of all of the games. Maybe let the games speak for themselves. So in the beginning, when you're looking at how many games you have, if you have a handful of games, you could probably keep them in or around your console. But just say you have maybe 20 games or 15 Nintendo 64 games. You might want to look into getting some sort of a case like this. This is a specific Nintendo 64 case that you can actually hold, I think, 12 games in this one. There's another one that holds 24. So you may want to see what's out there for displaying your games. I have seen people keep games in Tupperware containers and keep them maybe under their bed or beside their television. But when you have boxes for games, I think displaying them looks really cool. So first and foremost, the logical way for me to do this was really, in my mind, what I have here is I have handheld stuff, I have a collectible Wii, basically collector's editions. Then I have this all chronological order by console for Nintendo. The NES, followed by the Super Nintendo, followed by the Nintendo 64, then the GameCube, and finally the Wii. And now, all the way on the right, I do have Wii U. So for me, that made sense. That was logical. That's the order I wanted to put it in. I think eventually I might just have 2 shelves of NES here at the top. That's probably what I will eventually have. Maybe 6 shelves of Super Nintendo games, 4 shelves of N64 games, and a few shelves for Wii and for Wii U and GameCube. But we'll see what I get into. So for me, function was really key. The older games, like the NES games and the Super Nintendo games, they're in cartridges, as well as the N64 games. I don't play the NES games very often, so I kept almost all of those actually in the box. The ones that you see out of the box, I just don't have the box for. However, my Super Nintendo games, I play all the time. So I decided to pull all of them out of the box, and I actually put them on the shelf so that I can get to them very easily. Every time I go to open a box, I kind of damage it a little bit. And every time I do that, I really get angry at myself, because collectors, you know, condition is everything. So you need to make this decision. For me, obviously, this is taking up a lot more room. For you, maybe this won't make sense. Keep them in the box. You make your own decision. For N64 games, it's really annoying because they lack end labels. Now, I'm going to put links below the video about making your own display labels for N64 games or other games, and there's 2 really helpful links. One's from Alice Lawless, I think his name is. He's from my N64 Forever forum, and he made a lot of these awesome end labels. You can kind of do it yourself, or you could pay someone from Digitpress to do them for you. So that's how I kind of look at my games. I want them to be functional so I can get to them. The other way that I display my games is by alphabetical order. So you may have noticed, for example, my Super Nintendo games, I try and put them in alphabetical order as best as possible, because when I'm trying to find a box, or when I'm trying to find a game, I want them to be in a certain order for me to find them, especially when there's hundreds and hundreds of items for you to kind of try and sift through, and for you to try and find exactly what you are looking for. So to put them in alphabetical order, to me, means a lot. So mine are kind of chronological by console, and then alphabetical by game name, I guess. And then sometimes you run into difficulties with like 007. Another thing you might want to do in your collection is highlight a certain game. So up here on the top left, I am highlighting The Legend of Zelda. I am missing a few games. The Wind Waker for GameCube is being borrowed by Alex, but I just got it on Wii U. Woo, thank God. So some people actually display all of their Legend of Zelda games or Mario games or whatever your favorite game is somewhere in their room. Maybe they put them all on a shelf facing out. Maybe you do something like this. You can make the decision to kind of highlight certain games if you want. And that can be really important because it kind of just puts a little touch on your own collection. So when you're looking into displaying your games, you would probably want to keep in mind these little tips. Where are you going to put them? How are you going to display them? Do you even want to have boxed versions with the cartridges? Do you want to keep your collector's editions that can have very large boxes with everything else? Do you want to keep games from another region in their own section, or do you want to keep them with everything else as well? Do you have a section for handhelds? What are you going to do? So keep all this in mind when planning your collection because it can make a tremendous difference in the way it looks. And to a lot of people, looks do mean a lot. So I think having them in a certain strategic order really does make sense to make your collection look as best as possible, because there are a lot of good games out there. But if you can't find the one that you want to play, it's just very annoying. And one last thing that I should mention actually, all my Wii games over here are in alphabetical order. And I went nuts buying Wii games this past month or two. So almost all of these games here are not in alphabetical order. They are all my new ones to file, and I need to make a video about them, which also includes my Wii U games there on the right. So that was collecting tip number 76, displaying and organizing your game collection. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to fill that like bucket below the video. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. The links are also in the underbar. And remember, as always, game on.